innocently to watch a football match. I think it's time for us to get past this and put a premium on life in our country. That's it basically. Lolo.
And nothing has changed even from those times that all these insurgents, all these bandits, terrorists, we've been naming them for years. And you know, when we remember, it's so easy for us to remember on this table, but we need to remember that those 40 people and 19 injured, some of them have families, some of them have not even recovered from the loss of that time. So we really need to rethink when we want to do something as callous and evil as that you're not just hurting the people, but you're spreading, you know, unhappiness and misery across board.
Yes. Of course, I have nothing to add to what you both have said, because we need to quickly dive into the business of the day. Many thanks for that submission. Today we'll be focusing on leadership and accountability. Many Nigerians, home and diaspora, shout corruption, corruption, corruption. It is because the basis for from which corruption can be judged is leadership and accountability in governance. Without further ado, our real talk will evolve around the scorecard of leadership in Nigeria. At all three tiers of government, we will also look at foreign perception of our level of accountability. Has it aided us or made us? Are we also making progress with accountability or not? Our guests will be throwing more light on the areas of contention. But I think before we bring in our guests via Zoom, what's your take with all that is happening thus far? I know that there are quite a number of things that are happening, which we'll be talking about in Trendy Story. But what's your take about accountability, and especially when it comes to the leadership of our country?
I think accountability in Nigeria is something that people just have a dictionary meaning of. I doubt if we really understand what accountability means, because from what I can perceive over the years, I don't think our leadership has been accountable to the people. It's been governments like, they run government like, yes, this is our thing, and there's nobody that we can answer to. And you know that absolute power definitely is going to corrupt. Absolutely. I think that's been our experience in Nigeria so far.
Nigeria, I don't know. I don't know how we got to this point. No, I can't but agree with you. Our leaders have not been accountable to the people of this land for a very long time, as long as I can remember. You know, and I think it's very unfortunate. We should have gone past where we are today. Instead, we have become the ridicule of the whole world. And that's very embarrassing and very shameful, you know. We can't go on like this. Kike, what say you?
I know it's sad. We keep talking about the same thing every day, year in, year out. And I don't know why it's an issue how the people who elect or the people who place in power have a challenge in accounting to those who elected them in power. You know, abroad, which are people that we are quick to, you know, emulate or want to look up to. These people are people that every week, every day of their lives on that seat, they are ready to give accountability to the people who they are serving. Even when they feel that they have failed, they are quick to also resign. In our country here, we want to die in power. Power is sweet. My dear sisters, I've tasted power a little bit. When you have people who are there to carry your bag, who are there to pull your chair when you want to stand up, who are there, you know, and all the perks that comes with it. Sometimes it's a challenge for people, you know. I don't know if it's our mentality or it's something that I would say that
it's in our psyche.
It's a systemic change that we need, because for me, it's like a cancer. And when cancer starts,
it has become a culture.
It's a culture already.
So it's embedded.
In fact, if we're going to be changing and learning accountability, I think we need to reschool ourselves and begin to teach it in nursery school.
Yes, it should
because
be in the school
as it is now, I doubt if you ask a secondary school child what accountability really means. They just know it in their theory. They don't know the application the practical of it. They don't.
It's sad. I think on this note, it's important for us to quickly play the profile of our guest. Our guest today is Debo Adeniran. He is the chairman, Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership. Let's take a quick look at his profile. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back. Mr. Denero, are you there? Can you hear us, please? Can you hear me? Can you please unmute your cell phone or your laptop? Is it possible for you to please join us with audio? Because the visuals are not that clear. Can you please unmute yourself? I can't hear you, sir. If you can hear me, please unmute yourself.
I think he's having difficulty.
He's having difficulty
hearing us.
All right, you know, we are having challenges with the connection to our guests via Zoom. I guess those are still part of the challenges that we still face when it comes to Wi-Fi, when it comes to even some of us learning to educate ourselves with technology. I'm still struggling with it. You know, most times I do the posting on social media and I leave. Some people will not start tagging me. Did you see so thing? Did you see this? You know,
besides, when it rains again, it's another.
It's
it's a rainy day.
And that's still part of accountability because the people that we should be accountable to, if it's the way Wi-Fi, networks, telecommunications. For weeks on end, you see sometimes you have drop calls, and there's nobody we can call to order.
Absolutely.
No, I think what I want to add to this is that in Nigeria they say unlimited. It's only in Nigeria that I understand that the unlimited is not.
It's just for 2 days.
Abroad. You know, unlimited is indeed unlimited. And I think that those are the challenges.
I think we take it the other way around. Unlimited is limited here.
Yes. That's unlimited is limited here.
Yes, it is.
You know, there's so many aspects of our lives that we need a lot of re-education. And we're no longer talking about us as a people. We're even talking about the generation coming after us. Because they're learning the culture. They're learning how things are. I keep saying in Nigeria, everything right is wrong, and everything wrong is right. And you're wondering that when are we going to leave this pit that we've dug for ourselves? And the elections are upon us again. And if we do not change some things around, it's still going to be business as usual.
Well, I beg to differ a bit. Because when you talk about the youth of today, when it comes to technology, we have a bunch of whiz kids.
No. I do not disagree with that.
Oh, Lord.
No, we have
If only we can bring them in.
We have everything.
Co-opt them.
Yes.
Let them teach you the way it works. They have it up here.
Yes, I know that we don't have a debt of mind, of great minds in our country.
Yes.
It's what it takes to put it together that we have the issues.
That's because,
and those are the things that we need to change.
Because people refuse to break away from their cake system.
A cake system. If you check some secondary schools, their laptop, their computers are even obsolete. So how do you want to teach them new technology when they are still using close to IBM?
Question is, those who are supposed to pay for this,
somebody
pocket the money is, resting somewhere in some account.
It doesn't even come into mind you saying that. I remember one of my children's school, I would mention some school I know.
Yes.
They said their principal, someone was telling me, Mommy, our principal was sacked because they said that he's embezzling money.
That's
money that is used to do this and that for the school. They said he's embezzling it.
No, but it's true. It's true. Monies you're supposed. Have you not heard about in the ministries where they would have marked off certain roads that have been fixed?
Of course, and they're not touched.
Not at all. So you ask me, this is the accountability we're talking about. Who do you hold responsible?
There's nobody.
And we can go on like this as a nation. How do we move forward like this?
I don't even know. Sometimes when I look into the mirror, I just see bleakness. And I'm wondering that, are we ever going to get out of these issues? There's so many, I can't even wait for us to get to trending topics because there's so much happening right now as we speak across the states. And any Nigerian that is thinking right to be scared at this moment. That are we sure that
do we have a country?
Country is still going to stay together with the way things are going?
Do we have a country?
It's a question. It's a question unanswered. Trust me. Trust me. Can we move on to our trending stories?
No, I believe they're trying to connect to our guest now. Are we live now with our guest?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, many
Fantastic.
thanks, Debo Adeniro. Let me start by,
Thank you.
yeah, I know that you've been facing a lot of challenges, but it's important for me to first of all align with your work and of course your integrity over the years, and of course when it comes to improvement in leadership and great accountability in governance in our country, something that I must say that you've been doing a wonderful job lending your voice on the improvement of our leadership. But my first question to you, sir, is that you are the chairman of CACOL. Your areas of involvement gives you a better assessment of the topic in our country. So can you give us a brief assessment from your office on accountability, what we've been discussing with my co-host and I on the table here, from the three tiers of government in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you very much. When we talk about the three tiers of government in Nigeria, you mean federal government, state government, and local government. The three governments are like triplets. They are like triplets. They are working together, and everybody seems to depend on the mother of the three. That is the federal government. The state government and local government have actually relapsed into slumber, a state of slumber, where they become so docile and unproductive. And most of the time, they don't perform the duty they vow to perform for the people. And at the level of federal government, and that is why it was called feeding bottle federalism that we are operating. But I need to tell you that the federal government itself has been very, laid back in the areas of fundraising for the purpose of governing our life in this country. There are so many aspects of our life that have not been given adequate attention, and that is the reason why you have youth restiveness now. Since the beginning of Nigeria as a nation in 1914, there have been one problem or the other, and if we fast forward to the present system, you discover that no government in Nigeria has actually been people focused. They do not seem to get people to discuss their own government, to participate in their own government. They do not participate in the making of the ground norm of governance in Nigeria, which is the constitution. And if the constitution is not a product of popular discussion, then there won't be adequate sense of belonging to the people. And that is the reason why government at the three levels that you have highlighted have not taken the people as their employers. So they feel that they are not accountable to anybody. They feel that they can win election with or without people's votes. They think that they can enjoy on behalf of the people, and the people will not assert their right to demand for accountability. That is why they commit blue murder and get away with it. They commit corruption crimes with impunity. There hasn't been any government in this country that has actually confronted the issue of corruption headlong, the way that it will have favored the people. This is because there hasn't been any true government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The elections in Nigeria since the independence have always been flawed, one way or the other, to the extent that people's votes don't count. So basically, the three tiers of government do not consider people as being their employers that can actually sack them. The present constitution does not give allowance for people to withdraw their votes through referendum. If there is no referendum, everything that people, every effort that people have made towards recalling the representative that have been misrepresenting them have been thwarted, because the process is so cumbersome, and it is subject to the approval of the same people that that have been depriving the people of their rights. So basically, it has been a kind of woeful story at the three levels when it comes to accountability, transparency, probity, and participatory governance. The people have been alienated.
Sir.
Generally alienated.
Thank you very much for shedding a light on on that particular question that Kike asked. I want to ask the three arms of government, looking at it from the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. They all have different roles by creation. But the confusion we're having right now, it seems that everybody is usurping each other's power. The legislative, sometimes you are wondering, are they the executive? The judiciary, you are wondering, are they still adjudicating, or is that being left to the judiciary now? What would you say is bringing all this confusion? Because nobody seems to know whose job it is to do what any longer.
Yes. So when you look at the judiciary, the executive, the legislature, the truth is that everybody has directed attention towards the executive arm of government. That is three arms of government. So when the attention has been over-directed at the executive arm, the executive assumed the position of superior partner in the tripod of governance in Nigeria, as it were, to the extent that everybody look forward to what the president will say. They do not recognize the capacity of their own representative as represented by the National Assembly to make any positive impact on whatever they need in their area. They know that without the approval of the executive, the legislature cannot even get their legislations to be effective. The same thing with the judiciary. And the reason why it is like that is because like we talk about feeding bottle federalism at the level of tiers of government, from federal, state, and local government. The same thing with the three arms of government is the executive have to be the executive needs to be very generous and give them adequate attention if they serve the purpose that will suit the interest of the executive. If there is disagreement between executive, legislature, and the judiciary, it is only those that favor the executive that gets their budget, funded. Even if the National Assembly or State Assembly or local government passes the budget for any particular project, if the executive is not happy with it, it is not likely that the arms of government or tiers of government will be able to perform. So we are operating a warped unitary system, which was foisted on us by the military regime, and the successive military regime has kind of ingrained the kind of military mentality in the mind of an average political class in this country. That is why they want to pronounce things. They do not want to know what the people will say about it. They do not want to even listen to the legislature. The legislature will come up with legislation. The executive will withhold their assent, and when they withhold assent, the legislature will not be able to summon adequate political and public will to override the veto of the president or the governor, as the case may be, because they are afraid that if they did that, their budget will suffer for it. And so if there is actually what do you call it, the true separation of powers, where there will only be checks and balances, separation of power will make it possible for the legislature to have their budget, I mean their share of the national resources, I mean what do you call it, national budget. They will have it in bulk so that they will administer it the way they want it without going back to the executive. The judiciary will also. Are you talking to me?
Yes, sir. I said that.
Yes, I didn't get it.
Yes, I said I'm sorry to interject, sir. You know, it's really nice to have you on our program. And thus far, thank you for all you have said, sir. You know, I just want to say that it's no longer news that we have a trust deficit in our country. So I want to find out from you, sir, how do we correct this anomaly?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
The first thing that we are to do as a people is to put our acts together and assert our rights to political participation. We should insist that our representatives become accountable to us. All of the members of House of Representatives, all of the senators came out of our constituencies. We are the ones who elected them. We should insist that they should meet with us at their constituency offices, where we will impress it upon them that, look, this is the message you should take to the National Assembly and ensure that you follow it up. And when you are following it up, you should carry us along so that we will be able to give you the necessary reinforcement from home. But if we as the people don't put our voice together, then we are not going to speak with common voice. And where we speak with discordant notes, it means that we are not going to be able to start a common front. If we don't have common front, then the government will be at liberty to take us for granted. So the first thing to make things right is for the people to determine their own destiny by insisting that their elected representatives should represent them in a way that will favor the generality of the people. That should be done through formation of organizations. People should come together under NGOs, under trade organization, market women, and other. Then there should be mass education. People should educate themselves on the act of governance. They should know the function of different tiers of government and different arms of government. They should know who to approach for what purpose. They should not go to legislature when they need capital development, capital projects in their neighborhood, in their constituency. The legislatures are to make laws. They are to contribute to the making of the annual budget. They are to go back to their constituents and ask them what they want them to insert in the annual budget, so that at the end of the day, the budgetary allocation to the constituency will be adequate and will be effective and efficient.
Yeah. Sir, thank you. I from what you have been saying, when you said we should form organizations to be able to speak against the government, but I put it to you, sir, that every time that we have seen people come out to antagonize the government, they are met with serious force. Then looking back at the NSAS protest that we had the youths come out and stand against some things that, or make pronouncements on what they want the government to do. We saw what went on. And some individuals that have come out to speak against the government, we see how the government have reacted to them. So what other thing can we do?
My sister, you see, everything has a process. Remember that I said that there should be mass education, that people should educate themselves on what actually they want from their own government. And they should agree among themselves through their organizations, CDAs, labor organizations, what do you call it, trade organization and the rest of them. They should agree on what they want. Then they should agree on the process to demand for it. Is it through street protest? Is it through petition? Is it through the judiciary? Is it through any other channel of agitation that they want to achieve that? But when you look at what happened in EndSARS protest, it is there is a confusion at a stage. They started well, you know, they condensed their demands into 5-point agenda, and the government, saying that the position was popular among the people, the government accepted to dialogue with them, and several government officials actually accepted. For example, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, went to them, collected the demands, and took it straight to the president. And the president had no choice than to accede to the 5-point demand. 5 for 5, they call it. Now, if they had been methodical and put a kind of a terminal date for their agitation, that is what you call exit point, you cannot continue to agitate forever. You have to come back home, go back to the drawing board, review. Are you making progress? During this period, what progress have we made? The government has accepted our demands. Then the follow-up will be, maybe after 3 weeks, let us go out again to ask government, all of these demands, you have only implemented 1 or 2. How about the remaining? Then you put timeline that, okay, another 3 weeks, another aspect of the demand ought to have been executed. But if you continue to agitate, you call people to the streets, you turn it to a carnival, you didn't put a terminal date for the agitation. Government itself will be afraid that it is beyond the demand that you have presented, and upon which the government has been making promises.
Mr. Adeniro,
it could have been political.
Mr.
That is the reason why it didn't succeed. Yes.
Many thanks for the submission thus far, but it is sad that in our country we raise issues and cases of corruption and we promote anti-corruption. We are yet to see the finalities and the endings of cases like that of the, idealism of the Niger Delta Development Commission, former chairman of the Pension Reform Tax Office team, Abdurrashid Mena, and a whole lot of them. It's like we've developed a talk shop in our country. We keep hearing create all sort of groups and all of that. But what's your take on this?
My sister, it is still the same problem that is making the fight to look unwinnable. For example, if you ask me, we follow up on the case of Ibori, for example. You remember when Nuhu Ribadu was in the saddle, Ibori tried to bribe him with $15 million, which Nuhu Ribadu collected but deposited at the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's still there till now. Now, we pick it up from there, and that is at the level of CACOR. We were known as Coalition Against Corrupt Leaders then. We picked it up. We met when Nuhu Ribadu left, and Madam Farida Waziri came in through a controversial circumstances. We went to her, and you remember it was during that period that they say 3 of the former governors have been exonerated and left off the hook, including Bola Tinubu of the then Lagos, Joshua Dariye and James Ibori. So when we march on Madam Farida Waziri, we asked if it was true that those 3 former governors have been exonerated. She promised there and then that such information didn't emanate from our office. What I'm trying to say now is that if a people is united, if a people is insistent, if a people is determined, they will win. So eventually, James Ibori was put on trial based on that agitation that we made. First, it started in Kaduna. We followed them to the Kaduna Federal High Court. When it was brought to Asaba Federal High Court, we were there also. We followed it up blow by blow until it got to Dubai, and from Dubai to the UK. We were in the UK with them until the case was determined in favor of the people of Nigeria in the UK courts. Now, that is just one. There are other cases against him that are still pending in Nigeria. Now look at the case of Desani Alice Madueke. We did petitions, we attached evidence, we took it to the EFCC took it up, and they are still on it, and a lot of assets have been withdrawn from Alice Madueke. She has voluntarily surrendered some jewelries that runs to billions of naira to the federal government. She has voluntarily submitted, some property, choice property, to the government of Nigeria. That is because we were determined to get an end.
All right.
Olusegun Obasanjo escaped the eagle eye of the EFCC.
All right. EFCC, Mr. Adeniran,
yes.
Please, apologies that I might have to interrupt your thought. Let me use this opportunity to open our phone lines. We do not have much time. For those who are just joining us, we are talking on leadership and accountability in governance. Don't forget that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio line 080-988-77400, and of course it's showing on your screen presently. And also remember, we are on all social media platforms on Real Talk with Kike, on YouTube, Facebook, and of course on Twitter. And of course we are streaming live from Silverbird YouTube page as well. You can be part of this conversation as we go on. But sir, with all you've been sharing thus far, Mr. Adeniran, I must ask you this question. I know that our legal system has an integral role to play in establishing accountability. What has the support been thus far? What kind of mechanism are in place to enforce public office holders, or to bring them to books as against the culture of impunity? What's your take on that, sir? Please, in 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Yes, you see, impunity has always been there, but there are instruments that have been developed and operationalized by the present administration to curb impunity. Part of it is what you call TSA, that is Treasury Single Account. All monies that is supposed to, revenue that's supposed to go into the federation account will be channeled through the TSA into the federation account. That is a way of preventing people from opening frivolous accounts in their, once they have government documents, they will only go to bank and open an account and ask people to pay to it. And that means that the money that gets into such an account will not get to federal government. Then it has been made difficult for people to launder money through the inauguration of SCOMO. SCOMO is Special Control Units Against Money Laundering, and it is resident with the EFCC. Now, every professional, every organization like NGO, like CSO, like ours, have to register with SCOMO. That means that if we are spending money that is in excess of 1 million naira or 5 million naira as a corporate organization, we have to report to the SCOMO. SCOMO have to know what we are doing with the money. Now, there is what you call Act 2. That is a desk by ICPC. That is Accountability and Transparency Unit that is supposed to be in every MDA. Yes. So all of these are instruments. Yes.
Sir, because of time, I like the fact that you are mentioning some of these institutions that have been put to grab to be able to hold people accountable, ICPC, EFCC. But that's sir, we have heard in the past of them being accused too of the same thing that they are supposed to be watchdogs for. So would you say that we have the agency that is adequate in Nigeria to be able to hold our leadership in accountability?
First and foremost, I said the most powerful instrument against corruption are the people themselves. We the people, we are supposed to be more vigilant. Then we the people, we have constituted ourselves into civil society organizations like Accord that we are running. Then the media, you have a constitutional role to play in bringing people to accountability, in insisting that there should be trail for probity in every transaction that they make. And this is why we have to be very vigilant. If we are not vigilant, we corrupt anybody corruptible. Some of these corrupt elements believe that everybody has a price. Unless you make yourself a priceless jewel by asserting yourself as a human being, once you first and foremost saying that I am a human being that cannot be bought with money, and I want to follow up on cases that will make life more abundant for the people, and that I will not allow anybody to bring me to the level of to the animalistic level of usurping what belongs to another person, misappropriating things that all of us should enjoy to ourselves alone. Then that will be the beginning.
All right.
There is no institution without corrupt elements.
All right. Many thanks, Mr. Deniro. Mr. Deniro, many thanks for coming on the show today. We are glad to have you join us via Zoom line, despite the challenges that we had through the network. But I must say thank you for joining us for this lunchtime. I think on this note, we have to quickly, discuss what connects all of us, and we are all Nigerians, like we know, which is part of the trending stories that we will be talking about now. But before we go in there, briefly, we've seen a lot of discussion that has gone on about accountability and corruption, but I know there's going to be another story for another day. I know Lolo has a lot to share on that. But one of the trendy story that caught our attention is that of the 54th anniversary of the Biafra. The businesses shut down and streets deserted in Southeast, and IPOBs sit at home orders. This is an I don't know, how would I put it now? It's unbelievable that with the sit-at-home order issued by the prescribed group, Indigenous People of Biafra, the IPOB, and through its spokesperson, popularly known as Ima Powerful, who said that human and vehicular movements will be restricted across the Southeast on Monday to mark the 54th anniversary of Biafra. This is ridiculous. But I must start with you, Lola. What's your take on this?
In fact, we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Yeah. Because if a group can issue an order and people obey, I don't blame them for obeying. I do not blame them for obeying, because their lives are. Have you not seen?
Are we declaring 54th anniversary as one of our
national holidays?
You know why I think, my opinion, why I think they obeyed? Out of fear.
Of course.
Out of fear. Because they all want to be protected.
Have you not seen what is happening there?
Families.
I saw a video of a judge brought out of a car and just shot point blank.
Yes,
people are just scared.
So no.
As far as I'm concerned, everybody is afraid for their own lives. Exactly. They do not know whether the country will protect them. So instead, they will just sit at home and watch what's happening. If we've been seeing the government come forth to, put force and force back, miscreants or people or bandit terrorists, if they've been seeing their decisive actions, maybe the people in the Southeast will not be afraid and they will not obey the sit-at-home order. But they are afraid of their own lives.
Because there's been so much carnage recently in the Southeast. And I think it has reached a ridiculous height. It's like we're living in two separate countries. I don't understand that. This is not the Nigeria I was born in and the Nigeria of my dreams. It's like every man is doing his own thing. And there's nobody at the center holding the nation together. Do we have a country?
All right, on that note, because that's the reason why I said it is ridiculous, and I can hear my technical director Moses saying to me what's ridiculous about it, and I will tell you, Moses, what's ridiculous about it. I'm sorry, I asked him yesterday that is May 31st another new official public holiday in Nigeria, and in whose authority is the leadership of this country that we are asking ourselves people should sit at home? Do we even have a president who is responsive in this country? The state governors in eastern states, need to be questioned on their loyalty. Are they serving Nigerians or the Biafras? I'm asking in pain because, you know, I have Igbo blood in me, for those who do not know. How can a single man outside the shores of the country give a seat at home order? The streets, the commercial activities, offices were all shut down. I'm wondering, we didn't have the degree of compliance even in the pandemic period when lives mattered and people were dying. True. We saw a lot of changes during the pandemic period, but the scenario of things are clear now. It shows that the power and the leadership, administration and authority of these eastern states are obviously not in the hand of the federal government. I'm serious about this, and of course the state government as well. And let's recall that the IPOB have also started vandalizing both states and federal properties of Nigeria. They have burnt police stations and killed police officers. They have burnt and destroyed ANEC offices. They have vandalized the major crude oil pipeline in Oguta. I hope I pronounced that properly. Oguta. So there's quite a number of challenges that we are facing. We've seen the man that joined us today. We are talking about corruption. We are talking about accountability. We are talking, you know, you will see all sorts of challenges have been going on since birth to date, and we are asking ourselves, who is the one giving all these orders? Do we have a president in Nigeria? And I think that's where I end our submission.
Let me remind you of Wole Soyinka's, Dr. Wole Soyinka's statement in the recent past that Nigeria is on autopilot. That's why you see everybody, you talk about those in the power sector, they're doing their own thing. Everybody's just doing their own thing. Where do we go from here?
All right, many thanks, FO, for that submission. So another second trending story that caught our attention is that of Yele Showore's life threatening. He was targeted and fired by a female police officer called Alcina. Allegedly. The police officer reportedly fired the less lethal weapon capable of burning the skin at the political activists at the Unity Fountain on Monday in Abuja. You know, I think I should start with Lolo. Lolo, what's your take on this?
I would say allegedly because you know, a lot of things are just shady in this country. When it comes to just coming straight forth with even stories that we can believe and verify. From the time that this story broke, the alleged is standing out like capital letters, and everybody is like, okay, was he really shot? The pictures that I saw trending on social media was not that of a female police officer. I am wondering that if Showore is doctoring this happening, it will be very sad because a lot of people believe in him. Some people believe in his struggle, and if he is found to be doing things that are not right to be able to present a particular front, that would be wrong. And if indeed he was fired at, do we have a country? Who protects who in this country? In fact, even the lives of prisoners in the prison is still important, and they should still be protected in our country. So if anybody can go to any rally and anybody can shoot at anybody, who... I don't know.
Many thanks, Lolo, for that submission. And I want to add to what you just said. Again, where is accountability? Yes, sir. Again, where is leadership in our country? And don't we have the right of freedom of speech and expression? Why should, you know, a armless man be deliberately shot at, allegedly again? You know, and I recall that the female police officer involved has been previously, you know, marked and based on some research that I made, and alleged to have carried out similar actions in the past. So the same impunity and recklessness we are trying to rectify in the system are still the same people that we still see walking on the streets of Nigeria. The reason NSAS protests occurred last year, have we all actually thought about it? Here we are again. What music and tune are we really dancing to if Yele Showore has lost his life, so to speak, if it wasn't staged that, you know, the process that went down tomorrow? But secondly, you know, let's move on from this. I need to find a balance with this conversation. You know, secondly is that I understand Showore's passion for good governance and accountability, and I also understand that he wants to see a desirable and impactful change, and I say good kudos to that. However, I want to fault his approach and strategy. In my personal opinion, I stand to be corrected. I think it should go and start its political, its politics from his states rather than aiming at presidency. It should win governorship election in his state. You know, or it could win local government or change the affairs in Ondo or Ekiti, wherever he's from. Thereafter, you know, he has some voice and power to now aim at the federal level. You know, in summary to my submission, I think that it's putting the cart before the horse, and I think that most time we all think that, you know, anybody can come from anywhere to say that I want to become so. And that's part of the challenges we are facing today. Nobody's ready to follow the process. Nobody's ready to follow the organogram. Nobody's ready to say, you know what, I want to serve the people before I want to get to a place of authority. And that is where I'm challenging Showore on. All right, on this note,
I almost clapped. I almost said, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you with these few
debaters.
Points of why my panel of debaters,
you know.
Why?
All right, on that note, I guess we don't have much time again. I think this is where we draw the curtains of the show today. I believe that our listeners, of course, you know, have gained one or two things when it comes to transparency. I hope that the youth of tomorrow are going to be the one to change the narrative of our country. I'm praying so, but that is the more reason why we must hold our leaders accountable so that the youth of tomorrow can emulate good things. On that note, we say bye now, and of course my co-host.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, and thank you, Mr. Deniro, again.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Deniro. Bye now.